Tonight on the program, we celebrate women, and we have three of them as guests. Three wise women, if you will. One, a finance executive, another, a police officer, and the other, a doctor. This is a special edition of Politics as Usual. I'm Pio Ontiveros. Our guests for tonight, the director of the Cotabato City Police, Colonel Portia Manalad, who will join us later on in the show. Here in the studio, we'll also have a pediatrics infectious disease specialist, Dr. Lulu Bravo, and PLDT Senior Vice President and Group Controller, who is also SMART's Chief Financial Officer, and PLDT Group Chief Sustainability Officer. Shay, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Shay, you know, some man once told you a long time ago, and I quote, "You're only in finance, right? You only depreciate the assets we buy." Tama? Yun ang sinabi.
I quite remember him. He's my friend and I love him dearly. He's retired already.
Oh, I see. After that, you went out to do field work, and you went and got down and dirty in the PLDT manholes. Why did you feel you needed to do that?
Actually, it was one of our meetings, and that's George Lim. He's the head of our network for PLDT. He's very respectable, and he really knows his stuff. And in one of our discussions, he said, it was actually to challenge me to sort of expand my horizon, because he was sort of teasing me that you only knew finance. And for you to understand network, you gotta get into the details, right? So I went with him. I learned how to splice copper at that time. It wasn't fiber.
Wow.
So
okay.
you need not call somebody to troubleshoot your lines for you. I can do it.
Talaga?
So I went down the
manholes.
Yeah, the underground cables and everything. So it was a real learning experience for me. Because finance, when you get to tell the story of the numbers by knowing the operations and the details. And that was also how I got to understand the business in its entirety and got the respect of, people and men there in general. Because the telco business is highly,
male-dominated.
Male-dominated, right.
Okay. And it gave you what you needed, hindi ba? Parang the integrity to deserve also to go up the ladder.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about passion. Why is it important for you and everything you do?
When you talk about passion, that's in terms of my work and everything that I do. Because when I go to work, it's not because I have to, because I really want to, and I love doing what I do. That's passion for you. And it also holds true for the advocacies that I have. In terms of education, we have Gabay Guro. Environment, we have Gabay Kalikasan right now. And it's something that I do not because it's required of me, but because I want to do something for others. I want to make a difference. And that you cannot do that out of obligation. You can only do that out of passion.
Okay, so parang walang kapalit yon. And there is no reward for this. This is just something you want to do. And the reward is for the love talagang passion project. Talk to us more about Gabay Guro and Gabay Kalikasan.
Gabay Guro is something that we've started with MVP and the PLDT Smart Foundation and the PLDT and Smart Group actually in 2007. It's actually run by volunteers of PLDT Smart employees, but right now we've opened it up to other companies. And we have a lot of sponsors. We are anchored on 7 pillars: training, scholarship programs, providing connectivity to public schools, providing livelihood to teachers to supplement their income. Now we have a digital platform also where we have an app for our teachers to do research and to know best practices among themselves nationwide. We also provide tributes to our teachers. We're actually known for our annual grand gathering in MOA Arena, which we've brought regionally already. So we've gone around the Philippines.
Yeah, ito yung you have concerts where
the artists actually perform for free.
Okay, so that's for the teachers, and a lot of people always say when it's education, you focus on the students. Importante rin yung sa teachers, di ba?
Because the teachers are the ones who impart knowledge, the values to the students. Without good teachers, you wouldn't have good students, right? And we always talk about nation building. For a nation to be great, it has to be with well-educated people. Because now with globalization, education is a great equalizer. How can we compete with the rest of the world if we're not educated? And to me, education should be a basic right, a basic necessity, more like clothing, shelter, and food.
Okay. What about Gabay Kalikasan?
O Gabay Kalikasan naman is our environmental stewardship program under PLDT and SMART also. In light of everything that's happening right now, coronavirus, the Taal volcano eruption, and all the Category 5 storms that we have, and all these talks about global warming, which will affect everyone, right? Rising sea levels, etc. And we really, really have to take care of the environment because we only have one planet, which is our home. It affects everyone. Walang mayaman, walang mahirap. When Yolanda happened, di ba? Kahit mayaman ka, mahirap ka, lahat kayo vulnerable. And we're actually doing this to future-proof ourselves, our families, our country, our businesses.
But what is it like? Let's go on to this. Now, what's it like for you to be in you're in the corporate world and your husband is in politics? Is it a happy combination of two different worlds?
It's actually a nice combination. But the thing is, we have a rule about not meddling with each other's work. We talk and get each other's views, but we never meddle. And it's also...
In other words, he can't influence you in your decision making and vice versa. Para bang you can give each other advice, parang ganun.
Yes. But I never, I never go to his city hall or whatever. I go when he asks me to, or I say my bit when he asks me for my thoughts and insights, but I don't meddle. The good thing about us being in different fields is we have a lot of things to share and we look at things from different perspectives.
So there are things that you can't see because it's your husband who will point it out to you. Meron kang hindi nakikita. And vice versa, no?
Right, and we do have a lot of great collaborations also. Like, for example, in terms of education, environment. Like in PLDT and SMART, we've started this single-use plastic ban, right? So I also asked him, you should actually push for it because the Philippines is the third largest polluter in the world, right? And you, as government, should also do something and make a stand.
Right. Congressman, no, of the 2nd District of Cavite.
Yes.
So what are people going to say kung dun sa 2nd District ng Cavite, they don't also do that same thing. But anyway, like you said, hindi naman kayo nagpapakialaman. But, yung love story nyo, interesting din eh. Kasi, nabalita ko, nakuha ka raw sa pandesal at barbecue.
Yeah. Doon siya nanligaw. Halos araw-araw, nagdadala siya ng barbecue at saka pandesal galing ng Bacoor.
Okay. Because you like that? Or parang that's the famous?
Wala naman. Parang talagang out of lang. Nagdadala lang siya para makapanood siya ng TV. Niloloko ko nga siya. At that time, he was mayor eh. Sabi ko, Mayor, wala ka bang TV sa bahay niyo? Nakikinood? Pero excuse lang niya yun.
Pero nandiligaw pala. Pero ngayon may TV na siya.
Ay, meron. Ang laki. Everywhere in the house, may TV
May TV
kami.
na. Okay, sige. How do you, like again, you're a very busy woman and then he's a very busy man in both your careers, your life work, if you will. Now, how do you keep the love alive? The passion also.
But love kasi is not just romantic, it's really a decision, diba? And right now, we enjoy each other more because we're into this matured level na we don't get jealous anymore. I mean, your kids, di ba? Wala na kaming ganun.
Okay.
So we focus more on our family, our children, particularly Shaylee, because she's young, she's 3, she's turning 4. She's the love of our life. And we focus on our advocacies, our passion, his public service and my work, and less of ourselves. So that's where we are now. We're more friends. Kasi when you're friends, you're less forgiving, less judgmental, less,
Yeah. Well, friendship as a basis for marriage, it's so important, diba? But interesting, no? Parang you think less of yourselves, but you do still spend a lot of time together. You're able to carve out that time.
We do.
No?
We have this unwritten rule about Sundays as family day and God's day. So church day and family day.
Okay. But I like what you said. Love is a decision. That's true. You mentioned your little girl, Shaylee, because Shaylee it.
Actually, si Strike was the one who gave that name to her. Kasi kamukha ko raw malaki mata. At saka when she was growing up, she follows everything that I do.
Copycat.
Kawawa nga yung asawa ko si Strike. Hindi na ako masyadong nag-ano sa kanya ngayon. Kasi mas matindi yung anak namin.
Talaga.
Mas silosa.
Okay. And you have a son, no? An older son.
Yeah, he's in San Francisco right now. He's in college. graduating this year is taking up entrepreneurship and finance.
Oh, okay. Children are always the better versions of ourselves.
Much better versions of
Much better
ourselves.
versions. You're going to join us, Shay, in the last segment of the show, and we'll talk more about being a woman here in this country and what it means. So thank you very much. Just for now, we'll see you again later.
Thank you.
We're taking a quick break, politics as usual, and this special in Women's Month will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to this special edition of Politics as Usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. This is about women and Women's Month. Joining us now via video call is Colonel Portia Banyaga Manalad. She joins us from General Santos City. Colonel Portia, thank you very much for joining us now, and welcome to the show. Okay, you are the first female graduate of the Philippine National Police Academy belonging to the class of 1995. This is a distinction in itself, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is this important? Because, for example, yung Philippine Military Academy, PMA, there were several women graduates of the same class of 1995. Pero in your case, ikaw lang yung the only female graduate for that year. How did that happen?
Yes, ma'am. During the time that the RA 7192 was implemented, there was a recruitment coming from the national headquarters for the Philippine National Police Academy to accept female cadets. Same with other academies. During that time, a lot of women or female applicants applied for the cadetship. Mga 20 lang po yung nakapasa. And out of the 20, for the physical, only 2 ang nakalusot po. And it was me and one of my, yung aking kabady po during that time. But during the process ng aming cadetship, she resigned in the middle of the plebhood namin. So I was left alone.
Wow, from 20 down to 2, down to 1. And then that left you as the first and only female graduate of the class of 95. Why did you want to be a police officer? Ba't mo gusto maging police?
During the time po, I was taking my engineering course as Mapo Institute of Technology. And the recruitment was really maganda ho yung mga sinabi. And it was, they were telling us that it will be the first time that the academies will be accepting female applicants. Mm-hmm. And also siguro it was also the influence of my father. My father is also a police officer, formerly a police constabulary officer.
Philippine Constabulary, PC. Ano yung rango niya?
During the time po nung na-recruit ako, he was already a lieutenant colonel.
I see. Okay, and then that's why you wanted to be a police officer. Among the accomplishments that are listed down, I am most impressed by this one. No? It says certified instructor for the United Nations Prevention and Investigation of Sexual Gender-Based Violence. And Camp Crame officials speak very highly about you when it comes to this. Tell us about that.
It was I had 2 missions po, peacekeeping missions that I joined, which is in Kosovo and in Timor-Leste as UN police. And during that time, one of the really problem when it comes to serving the United Nations is itong mga cases about prevention of sexual gender-based violence on those conflict areas. I was recruited by the United Nations to teach and study or research about this specific course. Luckily, they have given me a chance to study more sa Austria po for this purpose. And then, yun po, in-apply po natin yan, and I was able to teach not even in the not only in the Philippines but also in India and China, where this kind of violation of the sexual gender-based problem is rampant po or mataas.
And that's another interesting point about you. You mentioned it, no? You've been to Kosovo and Timor-Leste. For today's generation, not very many of them are familiar with what happened there. These were strife-torn areas. Ang laki ng this was such a big, not just an opportunity, but a very unusual experience for you, hindi ba?
Opo. So there was during that time, meron man naging conflict sa kanila with and then the Philippines was the first one to commit to the United Nations to send UN police as a commitment of the Philippine National Police to the United Nations, and I was able to join and then serve the United Nations mission in Kosovo, and that was in 2008 naman ho. I was able to join the United Nations mission in Timor-Leste during that time na merong problem ho internally. Ang mission naman ho is about when the United Nations requests for police officers, it is already a post-conflict situation po. Trying to regain na po yung kanilang government. So we were the police in the area.
So, syempre, like you were saying, no? So strife-torn area, conflict zone yung mga ganon. And your profession, your career, no, as a police officer, every day your life is on the line, no. And then the police kasi is admittedly a male-dominated institution, no. But here you are, a female police officer and a colonel at that. Konti na lang magja-general, may estrella ka na sa balikat, and you know, we look forward to that. And you have survived all these years, and now you are city police director. Hindi biro yon, because, and you know, you're expected to function like any other male PNP officer, right? I mean, you do go out, you have operations where you lay your life on the line also.
During the time na I was still a cadet, ma'am, being the only female cadet, talaga ma'am, kasama ko na ma'am is 200 male cadets. And I think, na-train na ma'am ako, or I was used to it. Luckily, Filipino male are very gentlemen po sila. Very supportive po sila during the time na nasa cadetship ako. Even my upper class treat me as one of the guys, but then respect me as a female cadet.
Pero pareho din
After
yung
that,
mga...
ma'am,
Oo, sige. I mean, pareho yung expectations sa inyo. I mean, for example, you as city director, Cotabato City Police, sometimes you need to go out, lead an operation. I mean, you are armed, of course, when you go out, because you are a police officer, hindi ba? In other words, walang pinagkaiba yung trabaho ng PNP officer, female officer sa male officer.
Wala pong double standards since cadetship up to this time. There are no double standards with the treatment for female and male officers sa PNP.
You mentioned Colonel Portia, upper class, and that is a term that most military and police are familiar with, meaning your upperclassman is the one who comes before you. Kunyari, ikaw, class 95. So ang mga upperclass mo, class 94, 93, 92. And I mentioned that because your upperclassman is your husband also, and also a police colonel. Tell us about Colonel Jose Manalad, who is assigned with the Directorate for Operations sa National Headquarters, NHQ, Camp Crame.
Yes po, ang aking napangasawa po, ang aking husband is a member of class 1994 and my direct upper class. We met inside the academy but was able to get married 5 years after. And then ito po yung buhay namin. We almost see each other siguro mabibilang in a year. So even my kids are in also in Luzon right now because I am from Luzon, and my husband is with them. The difference may be if your husband or your wife is a civilian, is that you at least somebody, kung sino yung civilian po may iwan sa mga bata. But ours, when one is away or outside of Luzon, somebody should be there. And now yung turn po nung husband ko, because before he was with the Special Action Force and he was the one maybe minsan lang po siya na-assign na Luzon.
Siya yung nakadestino, tapos ikaw yung naiwan sa mga bata. But, oo. So ano yung term of endearment nyo? Biglang ganun ang tanong eh.
Mahal po, mahal.
Mahal. So si Mahal, kailan mo huling nakita?
1 month na po.
1 month na. Pero araw-araw naman kayo nag-FaceTime. Nag-uusap naman kayo araw-araw.
Thank you po sa technology.
Thank you to technology. Mag-hi ka na rin sa kanya.
Ayun, Mal, kamusta na?
Yun lang, walang I love you. Ha? O mag-commercial break na lang tayo, parang nahiya ka tuloy, Colonel Portia, ikaw naman. Okay, you will join us pa in the last segment of the show. This is Colonel Portia Manalad, soon to be, FYI, soon to be general. There aren't very many female police generals in the Philippine National Police. She'll join us in the last segment of the show. Colonel Manalad is the City Director of the Cotabato City Police. We're taking another quick break, Paul, because you shall be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to this special edition of Politics as Usual on Women's Month. I'm Pio Ontiveros. We now have with us pediatrics infectious disease specialist Dr. Lulu Bravo, who is the Executive Director of the Philippine Foundation for Vaccination. She's also a Professor Emeritus of the University of the Philippines College of Medicine. And I should say, Dr. Bravo, welcome back to CNN Philippines. We always interview you every time a controversy comes up when it comes to vaccination.
Well, thank you, Pia. You know, this is the first time I'm going to be interviewed on Women's Month.
Okay.
It's not usual for me to talk about women.
Okay. It's okay. We're going to talk about vaccination pa rin and preventable diseases. But I want to begin with this, ma'am. No? It must be frustrating when you sound the alarm on vaccines and the need for it or an infectious disease. And people don't listen. And sometimes, they think, hindi totoo yan, alarmist, panicking, babae kasi kaya ganon. Can it be frustrating?
It is. And in fact, I have tried to make sure that there is something we can do to stop the spread of fake news. Yeah, you are my idol, actually, when it comes to communication and media, because there is so much now that we need to do. And as women, we talk about women, right?
Right.
I am in science. And women in science sometimes just are back, at the background, doing their thing about learning and experimenting.
Parang challenge to communicate what you know. Parang
But there are very few who has that ability to communicate and communicate well and be able to reach the grassroots, to be able to really help those who are unable to process or hindi nila alam kung anong papaniwalaan. There are so many things happening. There's an explosion of knowledge in the world today. Who is it that we need to believe in? And I always say it should be the credible people, the scientists. And maybe how do you get there? It's usually through media, through people like you and people who know the facts and not the fake news.
You mean people in media should be talking to the subject matter experts like yourselves. I mean, you yourself are a very good communicator of your expertise, right?
There are always ups and downs in this field, but I guess it is an important issue because all throughout my life, I've been working on science, research. I'm a researcher. In fact, I've been awarded, an outstanding research here, there, and, I'm in a teaching profession. I've been a teacher for so long, almost 45
And
years.
a mentor to so many other
Right.
younger doctors.
That's why I told you earlier, I am a professor emeritus of the College of Medicine of the University of the Philippines. You know, not many can do that. They can be president of so many associations, but not a professor emeritus. And that's because you work your life through trying to do evidence-based communication. Because this is what we need. We don't want to spread fake news that can actually cause people to panic, to create chaos, to create something that is so sometimes so frustrating, as you said initially.
Right. So we don't want to create fake news. What we want to do is follow the science, right? Ma'am, this, of course, and even you, the way you are, every time I interview you, when we talked about the Dengvaxia, we talked also about, there was a time we were talking about polio,
Pneumonia,
pneumonia, ang dami na, no? Ang daming mga interviews.
And these are all, oh my gosh,
Oo.
I'm so frustrated when we had the
Yes.
measles outbreak and all the
And
polio
it was a very clearly a preventable disease.
It is.
But what was most notable about you when every time I would interview you and speak to you is that everything you say and do is born out of passion. And that's what you have about your life work. No? You care about not just curing people, but preventing them from getting sick, right?
Pia, passion is the mover to action. And the guide is your reason, the science. You cannot be passionate without having the science, without having the evidence.
Evidence-based.
Every time we do communication, every time we have this advocacy that's so called, we need to be evidence-based. And that is how to be a credible person. And that's also why, you know, I've been consulting with some of my colleagues. How do we stop the spread of fake news? And it has to be confidence, credibility, and transparency. Those are three important elements that I think everyone, even those in media, should realize would be the best way for us to educate and communicate.
Okay. Ma'am, you are known as a vaccine warrior. As a matter of fact, there are 2 points that you always repeat. And I remember this. Every time I talk to you, you always say this. Number one, prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
And number two, vaccination is most effective in saving lives. And
Second, to clean water.
Second to clean water. And you always say this because precisely because of a lot of the fake news that comes out na, wag kayo magpa-vaccinate. Okay lang yan na magkasakit kasi pwede ka naman magpa-doktor. The doctors will cure you. And yet, every time we talk to any doctor, they always say, prevention is the best form, is much better than cure, and it's the best form of staying healthy, hindi ba?
It is. Just look at how we are spending so much for cure. All of the cancers, there are now at least 2 cancers that are preventable. But if you have to spend for a cancer patient, wow, it's tremendous. For hepatic liver cancer, we have a protection of hepatitis B vaccine. For cervical cancer, we have a
the
protection of
HPV, wow.
HPV. And yet, sometimes they take for granted that, you know, we have the preventive tools. And then when the sickness strike, oh my God. See, they will say, it's too late. It's too late.
Yeah.
And I've always believed, when I started my career way back in the 70s, actually, I really felt that as an infectious disease person, there are so many things we can prevent that we can actually avoid and not spend, because the cure is so
It's so much more expensive than the prevention.
Right.
Right.
You always say that adage of an ounce of prevention is
It's
more
worth
than a pound of cure, right?
Right. Oo.
But
Yes.
sometimes, you know, you really have to exercise and imbibe it and be conscious. Everything must also be in your consciousness.
And sometimes it's not just vaccination or immunization. There are things that you doctors have always told us ever since, and we knew these in kindergarten, like wash your hands, drink a lot of water, get enough sleep. Yung things that we, again, take for granted na sinasabi naman sa atin ng lahat ng mga doktor, right?
Actually, Pia, it's so interesting, you know. Nowadays, and the current issue, of course, is COVID-19.
Right.
And what do they say? You wash your hands, don't
Exactly.
put your fingers into
Oo.
your face.
Drink a lot of water, stay hydrated.
Yes, and then
Right.
drink water, and then make sure that you are staying away from people who
Who are
are
sick,
having cough or having illnesses and move away at least 1 meter. Do not go to crowded places. I'm thinking at least we do now realize that people have a raised awareness. There's a great big awareness now of what you can do to prevent disease. And this is something that the silver lining in this issue that we are having about COVID.
Silver lining in this COVID
we will have
controversy.
less infectious disease,
Yes.
I hope.
Yeah, oo. My last question, ma'am, but of course you are joining us in the last segment of the show. Nabanggit nyo na po na you started your career in the 70s. Not all women are comfortable talking about age, but you don't mind, right?
I don't.
Yeah.
Never. I always tell people, I'm happy to be 70.
Wow,
then-
and not look it.
Well,
One bit, ano?
that always
Yeah,
makes
that's
my day
yeah.
when they say, "Oh, don't look like it." And somehow I always get almost a 99.9 response when I say, I'm 70, I have to be given the senior citizen card, and you have to give me the chair, and you have to, let me sit down and everything else. Because once I say I'm 70, they will say, "Oh, you don't look 70," and I tell you that really makes my day as a woman, and we're talking about women.
Yeah.
We do need to let women be part of this whole exercise of being recognized and being able to do something for everyone else.
Yes.
And for families too. I mean, I know, deep in my heart, that women is at the core of a family, good family, happiness, marriage,
Yeah,
right?
and you
the
are
women should really be the frontliners.
Right. You're still with your husband, who's just 3 years older than you. You've been together
Right.
for how many years na?
44 years.
44 years and counting. Ang saya. Sarap. Dr. Lulu Bravo, thank you for being here. Like I said, you'll join us in the last segment. This special edition of Politics as Usual, Women on the Front Lines. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to a special edition of Politics as Usual and Women's Month. Again, our guests for tonight, the Director of the Cotabato City Police, Colonel Portia Banyaga Manalad via video call. And here in the studio, Pediatrics Infectious Disease Specialist Dr. Lulu Bravo and PLDT Senior Vice President and Group Controller Shay Cabal Revilla. Some final questions just to wrap up the show for all of you. First, Shay, Dr. Bravo, and Colonel Portia, do you sometimes wish that you had more hours in a day, more powers at your disposal? Dr. Lulu.
Well, Pia, at my age, it's not having more hours, but it's the quality time that you have.
Okay.
Because you really need to prioritize some things.
In other words, we can't do everything.
Right.
Okay.
We know that. So
Yeah.
maybe it's what do you prioritize? And sometimes this is what I feel at the end of the day. Maybe I made a mistake in prioritizing something that I should have given to the family, or sometimes I could have given this time to another, like relaxation and rest.
Okay. Are you saying that sometimes we should learn to say no?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Shay?
In terms of, Doctor had a very good answer on in terms of the number of hours. In terms of power, not really. Because I think we don't really need power and title to achieve anything or to make a difference. It's all about how people respect us, about what we stand for, right? All about moral ascendancy and our integrity.
Very
Make
important.
things happen.
Very important. Colonel Portia, what do you think?
I'm good with the 24 hours in a day.
Okay.
My
Noted.
service is always at the top. Parati, ma'am, we do service according to what is needed. So I need siguro sometimes, I would like to take some rest. And that will give me power siguro, ma'am. But 24 hours is already enough for me.
Okay. Meron namang leave ang mga police officers, but I know that not everybody takes them, no? Mag-accumulate
Yes,
na
ma'am.
lang siya pag retire. Naku, malaking bayad pag
Yeah, yes,
retirement. Yeah, okay. Something to look forward to. Anyway, but I was thinking about this, no? Is it true, no, that women, none of us want to be told na, you got there because you're a woman. Kaya ikaw ang SVP ng ng isang malaking kumpanya, babae ka kasi, no? But is it more like we want to be told na kaya ka naging SVP or kaya ka naging infectious disease specialist or kaya ka naging Cotabato City Police Director at isang police colonel at malapit na maging police female general because of you are intelligent, highly skilled, competent, persistent, efficient, kind of Wonder Woman, the kind that if you need something done, give it to a busy woman kind of woman. Shay, let's start.
That's exactly that. I mean, I think we are in our positions right now because we earned it. We worked hard for it, not because we're women. I mean, the advantage of being women is that we're more detailed, we're more patient,
Yeah.
we have better insight, we have more diba, foresight, forward-looking.
Oo.
And we get to see the
yeah.
bigger picture than the men that we love.
The men that we love, ang ganda ng
Diba? We have a
okay.
bigger perspective kasi as mothers.
Oo, yeah, right,
Deeper
right.
heart and deeper compassion and understanding.
Yeah, and then you do
We can
multitasking
multitask.
tasks. Right. You're doing so many things all at one time. Kanina lang, ano?
Yeah.
Colonel Portia, what about you?
Para sa akin po, it's unfair if you will be told that you got your position because you are a woman. Everything, lahat po, we have done according to the process, according to the system. And there are no double standards. And what we have right now is not a gift, but a accomplishment, and which is deserved po namin.
Doctora Bravo.
You know, Pia, I've always been thinking that it is so nice to be in the Philippines because in the Philippines, gender equality, women are actually being rated, very highly. In fact, we have the best gender equality in Asia and number 8 in the world, as I read somewhere, a columnist said that. So for us women, we are so lucky to be living in the Philippines that actually have every chance given to women to excel, to be able to do the things that they need to do. Compare us to, some countries
We're much
women
better
are
off,
not
no?
even given
Oo.
education and
Right, right.
in my profession, I've seen some infants being killed at birth because they're women or they are female. And to me, the Philippines would be really a good place to live
Yes,
here.
oo.
Well, I think the world has to understand the value of women. In the World Women's Congress, I actually spoke about us. I mean, di ba, where did all those great men leaders come from? From our wombs. Hello.
Hello. Baka yun ang magandang title ng show. Hello. But, okay. But of course, this doesn't diminish the fact that even, and that's why when I spoke to each one of you, we talked about your families. Because even if we are not stay-at-home moms, full-time stay-at-home moms, or full-time homemakers, although it's a very tempting opportunity sana, we still say that their contributions are still immense. We still feel very strongly about and love our families, right? We take care of them. And I wanted to ask that of Colonel Portia first. Tama ba, Colonel Portia, soon to be General Portia?
Of course, ma'am, we would like to be with our family especially with my children as a woman. But then having our career, very challenging ho kasi maging babae, especially in our system o dito sa PNP where talagang ngayon pa lang nagkakameron ng mga babae na umaakyat po sa line sa senior leadership. So we have to really patunayan sa kanila na we can do and really reach yung senior leadership according sa requirement po ng aming sistema.
Doctora Bravo?
Well, I agree with Portia. It's important that we have women here in every field that we can get into. But I've always believed that there is no success that can compensate for failure in the home. And to
That's
me,
true.
This is something that we have to work on as women. Because earlier I said, to me, it's the woman who really makes it. I mean, Don't you think so? I mean, we are
Yes.
women, but
Yes.
I guess, it's important. And in our culture, in the Filipino culture, it's always a thing that women are the ones who really, it's a maternal family, isn't it? We are a maternalistic family. So the women has that extra job to ensure that the family is whole, that you could prioritize things. It doesn't mean that you don't have to really go for your career. We know that so many women like we are here, right?
Yeah.
But it is important.
Yeah. Home life is important,
Always.
syempre. Oo. Shay.
But the good thing about now is digital technology allows us to speak to our children in video calls, like
Right.
with
Oo, sige, Colonel
Colonel
Portia.
now,
oo.
right? So, parang the absence is not really that felt. But obviously, we have to spend time with our children, quality time with our children and our families and our loved ones.
Yeah, very important.
Very important.
Okay, you all know the joke about the three wise men and what the nativity scene could have been like if it were three wise women. So my question to each of you is, what would each of you have done if you were one of the three wise women? Shay, Cabal Revilla.
Well, as you said, we discussed earlier, clean up
The stable.
the
The manger
stable,
pala.
the manger,
oo.
and then probably bring them to our palaces and our kingdoms, right? Jesus deserves a kingdom.
Okay. Colonel Portia.
Ma'am, I'll hug baby Jesus and whisper to his ear, I'll be here.
Oh, sweet. Dr. Bravo.
Well, I think women, again, in the Philippines are at the front lines for spirituality and making sure that everyone, prays and really believe and fear God. Because we know for a fact that God, for us all, I mean, this is the supreme being. This is what will make our family whole. This is what our career would go through. We do not stop praying. So if we knew that there is something there that we could do to enable us to completely have that faith, because God is faith. We do these things because we believe that all things will be good, all things will end up, even in these chaotic times,
Yeah.
we are hopeful that the future will be bright if we believe and we have the faith. And with Jesus there at the front line, we always say, this is all we ask for, to believe in Jesus and to help nurture this spirituality that we have.
I love what you said, and not to diminish it, but I'm sure you would have vaccinated baby Jesus.
We would have checked him out. And we would all
Which
have
one?
like taken him and hugged him.
Oo, di ba? Oo. So still, the men in our lives, the loves of our lives, our heroes, do they deserve a National Men's Month? Because we have a Women's Month, no? What do you think? Because, without them, what will we be also? Dr. Bravo.
Oh,
So
my.
final words na.
To me, it's always Men's Day, Men's Month, Men's Week. It's always there. Because, in our culture, they think we don't say that. These Filipino men, they think they're the superior beings. But we don't actually.
Yeah. We don't need to say.
Yes, we don't have to say that.
Yeah, oo.
But it's really every day is Men's Day.
Okay. So they.
So that they will give us the recognition and the gifts, and you have to trick them.
Okay.
I will leave it at
Shay.
that.
Yun na yung final words mo, Shay. That's it. Okay. And Colonel Portia, a quick response from you.
He deserves a day out. He always gives me my time. He always support me in whatever I am doing, especially in my career. And I believe he deserves a Men's Day or my Mahal's Day.
Oh, my Mahal's Day. Woohoo! Nako, ito na. Okay, thank you very much to our guests. Colonel Portia Manalad, the City Director of the Cotabato City Police. Thank you, Colonel. Soon to be General Portia, ang kulit ko. Shay Cabal Revilla, SVP Finance Executive, top woman female advocate. Thank you for being here. And Dr. Lulu Bravo, Infectious Disease Specialist, Professor Emeritus, UP College of Medicine. Thank you very much for being here, all of you. And thank you for watching this special edition of Politics as Usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros.